Welcome. I'm glad you're here. This is the Wising Soul, a space for wisdom, growth, and transformation. If you're new here, you are welcome. And if you've been here a while, thank you for returning. What I'm sharing today isn't meant to tell you what will happen. This is a soul forecast, a very soul-centered look at the year ahead. In a way, you could consider it energy, but this is a deep dive into the soulfulness of living. I'm recording this on January 1st. So, Happy New Year. Think of this as an inner weather rather than outer event-oriented forecast. It's an invitation to notice what's asking for your attention, your discernment, and your presence as we move into the new year. You may want to listen all the way through, or you may want to pause, return, or take this in pieces. There's no right way to receive this. Take what resonates and leave the rest. Many of you listening are either older souls or growing into that awareness. I use the terms younger soul, middle soul, and older soul simply as references. There is no judgment. But I suspect many of you are on the older soul path or are an older soul who listen to these video reflections. But I can tell you, an older soul isn't perfect. We are still on the earth plane. But there is a difference. There tends to be more wisdom, more discernment, and more common sense. And this is typically created by surviving hard times. Older souls eventually become thrivers as they age, as they mature, or as I refer to us as wising up. And the middle souls, they're learning. And we all are on this earth plane together, going through this amazing earth school to refine our souls, which is one of the reasons why I started this channel. And for 2026, it's going to be an invitation to mature. And if you hear anything in the background, that is Finnegan. He is snacking on his kibble. As I said in earlier videos, I do not edit out the sounds of my cats because they are my family. I'm not looking for perfection in these reflections. I'm looking for realness, authenticity, and integrity. So, emotionally and soulfully, and much to my amazement as I was getting this information, 2026 carries a quieter tone. There's going to be less adrenaline and more reflection. Now, the media may show something different. But again, this reflection, this information are for those of us on this path. Many people feel tired, not body tired, but soul tired. Tired of carrying stories, roles, and weights that no longer belong to them. This year gently asks, what are you still holding that has already taught you what it came to teach? And let me repeat that, because that was the first download I received from the divine about this year, was that question. What are you still holding that has already taught you what it came to teach? And my first response was, oh, I'm so human, aren't I? So, for many years, survival was necessary. But 2026 is asking all of us whether we are still living from survival when you no longer need to. If you find yourself blaming your parents or a former partner or anything outside of yourself for your present life, this year invites drastic honesty. These were soul experiences, and from my belief system, perspective, and relationship with the other side, we helped set up these soul experiences to learn our curriculum. We worked on our curriculum with our parents, our former partner, or anything outside of ourselves that we wanted to learn during this time on Earth School. Now, it is, even though I don't talk about politics, I will say, both astrologically and politically, and this is not just for the United States, but worldwide, we have been living through a collective unmaking, a revelation, exposure, and shadow work. I happen to be born on July 3rd. So anything with this country, the United States, has a deep effect on me as an empath. So I understand very personally this collective unmaking. Now, from a soul perspective, this period has been both a cleansing and a test. A couple of things I wanted to point out and questions that came up. Do you enable? I did do a goodbye video regarding codependency and enabling. I have found the United States to be highly codependent. Maybe that was the way it was supposed to be during our 250 years of building up, but it has not served us well, especially individually. Do you enable? Who or what do you enable? Do you stay quiet from fear? And if you have anxiety, which I do, I always have to ask myself, what am I fearing? Or does something rise within that says, this has become personal? This is part of the cleansing. If you wish to change anything beyond yourself, the first and hardest test is always you. And typically we can't change beyond ourselves until we work as a collective for change. So the soul's objective is not to escape reality, but to understand it and embrace it. This is basically like getting down and dirty on the earth plane. We need to really dig deep this year within ourselves. This life is a teaching tool you agreed to work with. The conditions of your life, the relationships, present, past, future, and the wounds that you carry. In 2026, there is an invitation to turn toward the ultimate human wound you carry. Again, this year, there is an invitation to turn toward the ultimate human wound you carry. I think if you've hit midlife, and hopefully you know what your wound is, and there's usually more than one. Abandonment, betrayal, or it can be very specific. I carry the mother wound, and that is almost perfectly set up for this old soul and on her last life. Knowing your wound is not an explanation, but it is a witness to what your curriculum is and what you need to learn and let go of. Now, the 2026 Soul Forecast has certain core themes, and when I was receiving the information, I ended up creating it like bullet points because it came so quickly. And there are 11 points that they gave me for this year. And I said, is this one a month we work on, or what do we do here? I didn't receive a firm answer. Other than 11 seemed very, very important. And for those of you that know, 11 is a very powerful number. And we are numerology-wise moving into a 1 year, 2026. So the first is soul maturation. 2026 asks us to move out of survival-based living and toward responsibility grounded in wisdom rather than blame. The second is integration over initiation. This is not a year for constant starting over, but for embodying what you have already learned and lived. Number 3, the ultimate human wound. This year invites you and us to turn toward the central wound of your life. Not to fix it, but to hold it with maturity and presence. And to work on it. We may never be able to fix what already occurred. But in that revelation, exposure, and shadow work, there comes a miracle when you work with it and you do hold it with maturity and presence. And they followed up with several that kind of built upon that. The fourth was forgiveness as liberation. This year clarifies that forgiveness is not about others, but about freeing your own life force from the past. Unhook, set free. I got this image of getting rid of a lot of old clothes that you're holding on to. Because it is about freeing your past life and rebuilding with forgiveness. 5 is generational healing. The inherited pain, addictions, and patterns rise into an awareness so they can be seen, understood, and consciously released. This is one of my favorite topics to work with, because as I've worked on myself, I can feel and I know as an intuitive psychic medium that I have ancestrally helped those in the past and those that will come in the future in my DNA line. Number 6 is discernment and energy leaks. 2026 brings attention to where your time, focus, and emotional energy may be leaking. And this year asks of you for kinder and clear boundaries. Many, many people will be stepping out of your life. You may change jobs, lose jobs. Have people in your DNA family cross over to the other side. You may be left sometimes with just your pets as your family. But it is about bringing you back to you. Number 7 is quiet power. Rather than louder voices or stronger opinions, 2026 favors grounded authority, restraint, and integrity that doesn't need performance. Here, I can only just suggest, as a human, on this funky earth plane, in this very interesting time in the United States, to choose your media sources wisely. Number 8, collective testing. Now, this is inner and not political. This year, quietly test who you are when faced with discomfort, darkness, and complexity inwardly. Number 9, and I loved this one. It was such a different energy that came through when they downloaded this. Number 9 is be lively. So 2026 reminds us that wisdom without aliveness becomes heavy, and that presence, warmth, and curiosity are essential strengths. And it very much felt like to stay connected to your inner child, but with wisdom. Remember to laugh more than cry this year. Number 10, intuitive perspective. This year invites trust in lived knowing and inner discernment without required belief or certainty. And for me and for many of you, this is where we live. We follow our intuition, as odd as it may be. It's listening to that inner voice, and sometimes I call her Grandma God. 11, release and renewal. 2026 supports the closing of old karmic loops, so that what comes next is not repetition, but renewal. And I asked about 12? Do you want a 12 to make it a year? And they're like, 12 is for bringing all those steps together. The wholeness returns. So these themes will form the soul-centered forecast for 2026. And I also invite you to find a good astrologer to look specifically what's happening on your chart. I am sure that these themes will also resonate with your chart. So, how to live with this forecast? It's important to say this clearly, that you're not meant to work on all 11 themes at once. This year, growth is very selective. One or two of these will just surface naturally. Your body, your soul will know which ones matter now, and your life will point to them. It's not about effort. It's about attention. Let these themes meet you where you are. Oh, resistance, avoidance, and compassion. Ah, there will be places you resist. I will, for sure. And forgiveness may feel unreachable. Letting go of resentment may feel like losing protection. Releasing generational pain can feel like betraying family loyalty. This doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're human. You're on the earth, in Earth School. And this year doesn't ask for perfection. The divine never asks for perfection. It asks for honesty, paired with compassion for yourself and eventually others. And sometimes the most mature act is simply naming where you are not ready without making yourself wrong. One phrase continued to return to me over and over the past weeks as this reflection came to be. And that's one of the themes. Be lively. It's not being performative, and it's not forced. It's alive. Liveliness is not denial of pain. It's choosing presence instead of numbness. It's allowing warmth, humor, curiosity, and breath to exist alongside grief, memory, and responsibility. In 2026, this matters more than we realize. So what I've shared comes from downloads from the other side, from my spirit guides, guardians, and the hierarchy of light. But it is all shaped by my lived experience. You're not asked to believe anything, only to notice what resonates. This year isn't about becoming someone new, but about inhabiting who you already are more fully. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this forecast reflection supported you, you're welcome to like, subscribe, and share. By the way, subscribing to this channel, there's no cost to it. It took me a while to learn that when I started following some of my favorite content creators. It just helped to get notified and gave them support. And also, if you are in a season of letting go, the Goodbye series will be linked, and I will continue to add to those video reflections. So take what serves you, leave the rest, and know that we are continuing to wise up together.